Okay. Okay. So continue what
Awesome.
we were just saying. Hi, guys. By the way, it's me and Tina Palmgren, right?
Holmgren, yeah.
Okay. And welcome to Laugh Lines of Truth and continue the conversation. Go ahead.
Now I don't remember what I was talking about. Oh,
Oh, limiting
goodness.
beliefs.
Oh, yeah, limiting beliefs. So, I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2012.
Mhm.
Coming out of corporate, wasn't going to ever work on myself, right? I just needed to learn more of what I do. Oh my God. So this opened up the whole thing about learning about our limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Well, turns out I had open heart surgery when I was a baby. I don't remember it. I don't I was too young. I don't remember anything. I was 15 months old. I was there for 6 weeks. My parents left me there because back in the 60s, that's what people did. You didn't
Yeah.
stay with your child. And I found out after a while that, everybody growing up told me, "Oh, you're lucky to be alive." I'm like, "Yep, I am." Well, I didn't realize I owned that and said, "You're lucky to be alive. Who the hell are you to be abundant and to be happy and to be loved? You're alive. What the hell more do you want, girl?"
Yes.
And really realizing that. And then also found out later on, once I found that, you must have a kitty cat. I just seen
I
a
do. Did you
tail.
see her? I know. I do have a,
I
she's
see the
lucky to
little
be alive
thing.
too because we found her in January at the back door. So she's our
Oh,
lucky black cat.
gotcha. Oh, I love lucky black cats.
Yes.
They're cool. But anyway, so
Yes.
then also found out that abandonment issues ran throughout my life
Uh,
because I was left at the hospital. Not that I was left, but I was, and not knowing anybody and having to. So my first husband died. I never, my brothers would leave me places just to mess with me because I was the youngest and way younger
yeah.
than everybody else. So they didn't want me around with them, so they just ditched me somewhere. You know, all these different things that kept coming around. My second husband, after I got married again, he didn't come home on Christmas Eve. I was so pissed. But I
Yeah.
just really realized that, oh, abandonment.
Yes.
I'm being abandoned. And it was because I didn't learn that I'm still loved, even though people left me.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't my fault, but I had all these abandonment things keep
Mhm.
reappearing, all because, and I don't remember being left, but that's where it all came from. So, and
Let
then
me
on
ask you,
top of that,
go ahead.
the guilt to be alive because my parents had to pay for my surgery because it was
Mm,
experimental back in the 60s, and all this different stuff. They worked hard all their life. My work isn't hard for me, it's fun, it's easy.
yeah.
So it's like, I'm not, who am I to make money doing this when it's not hard?
Yes.
It's not physical, it's not, you
Right.
know, so felt guilty for all that stuff. So yeah, learning all that stuff. Not that I'm completely over it all yet, but
Yes.
it's always a work in progress.
I agree. I feel like we're always evolving. We're always evolving. And
Exactly.
then sometimes little things creep back up, but like, oh, now I know why I feel this way about this. And I love the whole self-love, what you were talking about and the limiting beliefs. And I think what was your aha moment about that? Like, what was your aha moment where you said, no, I deserve everything just like anybody else does?
It was really working with a coach and her getting me there and just realizing it. It's I've worked with the same coach a few different times, and each time we found one of the other limiting beliefs that
Yeah.
I finally was able to get down to. And the last one was the guilt about being alive, and
Yeah.
that was on a retreat in Italy. It was like I worked with
Mm.
this coach and got to go to Italy, and I never thought I would be crying in Italy, but here I was bawling because I felt so guilty about being alive and how hard
Yes.
my parents worked. And, my mom's 99 and she's still worried about me. You need to get a job. You need to have security. And it's like, no, I don't want one of those.
Yes. Yeah.
I
No.
really don't want one of those.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I love what I do because I get to help people,
Yes.
and I'll tell them a price and they're like, "Oh, that's really high." And then I'll say, "Well, what about this and this and this?" And they're like, so this lady I was working with this morning, just as a matter of fact, she's like, And I only quoted her 500, which I didn't think was a whole lot, but
Yeah.
she's like, it's just a spreadsheet. I goes, yeah, but you could sell this for $47, sell 10 of them, and you've got your money back. And
Yeah.
she's like, oh my God, I could. But I said, you're going to make your client's life so much easier. I said they can just put in the stuff, it calculates it all, and magically the other part that you want is done. And she's like, "Oh, I love magic." It's
Yes.
just like
Yes.
that fun part of it. So
Yes.
just creating things that are easy and fun, I just love doing that.
So it's kind of interesting how you said that, like, when she thought it was expensive. Sometimes I think people don't understand it's an investment. And,
Right.
and even like with you, with the coaching, you invested in yourself.
Oh yeah.
And that spilt over for you to, to have a purpose to create your product and your business
Hmm.
to help other people. I just love how that continues on. And with you, it started with finding your limiting beliefs, going to a coach, creating what you created to help other people. And it
Right.
continues.
It does. It's really neat. And
Yeah.
in the last 2 years, I mostly do consulting. So I do
Yeah.
a lot of custom work for people. And I never really had a product to sell. And it was like, well, how do I do that? I don't have something like that. So in the last 2 years, I've created two actual products.
Okay.
And that's really fun. One is called the Fortune follow-up system. So it tells you who to follow up with when, and you got all your notes, and it's really cool. And it does a lot of different stuff in it too. So it has like personal tracking. So most of us that are entrepreneurs are on some kind of a betterment of our life. So you can track different things in there
Hmm.
that you want, or track your wins, because God only knows. We don't, as women, we
Yeah.
don't track a whole lot of our wins or even talk about them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's giving you a spot to put stuff like that in it. And it
Hmm.
just makes your life easier. And then I created another one called From Shoebox to Toolbox.
Okay.
It's for the entrepreneur that doesn't want QuickBooks or doesn't has the actual shoebox full of receipts that they bring to their accountant. Do you know how much money they're paying their accountant to do that? Way more than they need to. So I
Uh,
created a program that is super easy once they learn it, and
mhm.
and they have me by them sides, and it it empowers them to know their numbers all year long. So they
Yeah.
now are making better decisions throughout the year about what their business can afford and not afford, and just all kinds of different things are coming from it that I'm really enjoying, being
Yes.
able
Yeah.
to help people. And
That's
that's the
amazing.
fun part. So they're actual products. It's like, wow, I have products. It's like, oh, this is kind of fun.
That's amazing. And the name of your business is Excelling Your Business, right?
It is, and
Okay.
it's kind of funny because it's excelling with one L, and because it's a play off of Microsoft Excel, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's been a fun because I've had people, you spelt that wrong. And I'm
Ah,
like, yeah, I know, but here's what it is. And as soon as I explain that it's a play off of Microsoft Excel, they're like, oh, I get it. I love it.
yes.
And it's just been fun. And I wanted to do Excel your business, but it was taken. So I'm like, well, we'll just make it a verb and make it excelling.
Yeah. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
I was reading your bio. So now you and Gina, so unfortunately with our schedules and everything, the way they worked out, Gina,
Right.
has to work and you had to work. So it all worked out that we were able to still get you on today, which was we were so grateful for. And
Yeah.
I
I
thank
love
you
it.
so much.
Hmm.
Um, and then you and Gina somehow, so both of you have this Stevens Point connection.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. I text her this morning. I'm like, so how do you know Tina? And I go, because in her bio, she mentioned she can't wait to meet you when you come down to Stevens Point. And she explained that you guys were in a chat and you realized that you came from the same, well, she came from Chicago, but she lived in Stevens Point.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to mention why Gina also wasn't here as well, and how you two had this little
Yeah.
connection as well. So let me at least go through your bio because here, like your bio says, let me introduce someone special. Okay, here's Tina. Tina Palgram. Tina's an Excel wizard, and she was, as you were talking about just now, and you have over 27 years of accounting experience, right?
Yeah. I do.
And a passion for accuracy. which I
Oh, definitely.
I give you a lot of credit for because I'm for me not so much. I'm like, it looks like
Oh,
that'll
I was
work.
in the corporate world and I never realized why I hated it so much until I did my values. Because corporate, there's nothing accurate. There was nothing efficient. It was
Yeah,
like, yeah.
right, right. So your passion for accuracy, efficiency, and positive impact. She's the founder of Excelling Your Business LLC, a company that helps businesses improve their productivity and streamline their operations. Her work has saved companies thousands of dollars, countless hours, and tons of, oh my gosh, I don't have the end of tons of.
Probably tons of stress.
That's yeah. So we kind of discussed a little bit, in the beginning, a little bit how you got there. And why don't you explain exactly what you do for your clients?
Absolutely. So one of the things I do, so um, I graduated in 1989 from college, and I started using spreadsheet packages right away at my very first job, right? And so that was way back in the day of Lotus and
Mm,
QuadraPro before Excel was even a thing. But I moved a lot from Michigan to Minnesota and Wisconsin, so I switched jobs a lot. And what I really found I was really good at was finding problems
mm.
and finding errors. And I got really good at figuring out why they were happening.
Oh,
So my last job, corporate world job, I was actually fired from. It was kind of funny. I was fired, but kept on for 2 weeks. So said a lot about my integrity. They gave me a severance package, and it was just very strange. And my boss told me to tell him you're going to another job. And I'm like, no, because I don't know where I'm going.
hmm.
So what I did is I reached out to the former HR person from that company because she was at a college and I'm like, I want to teach Excel. She's like, you're hired. I'm like, I don't have to interview. She goes, no, I know your skills. And I
Hmm.
started teaching and went, holy crap, I'm really good at Excel, but I don't know what any of this new stuff that they started incorporating in 2007,
Okay.
2011, and all the way up. So most of us our age, 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, don't use Excel to its main extent
Mm,
because we don't know any of the new stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I can save companies so much time and make it so much easier for them if I do this. I
yeah,
hate doing month end. I'm like that. I'm so over month end after 20 some years in accounting. And I'm like, but if I do this for them, that's going to save them thousands of time.
yeah.
So for example, yesterday I had somebody that called me and she's like, I have this spreadsheet. I want it every time I print, I want it to change this number and add one to it. I'm like, okay. And I said, it doesn't need to do anything else. She goes, nope. And I'm like, okay. So I made a button that she pushes the button. It asks her how many copies she wants to print, so she can put as many copies as she wants. She's
Hmm.
like, I want to do 25 to 50 at a time. I'm like, you put in 25, it'll print 25 copies with a different consecutive number each time. It saves it at the end, and there you go. So she spent over 2, 3 hours researching, trying to figure it out herself. I had it
Yeah,
done in less than 15 minutes. So it's how can I help somebody that they want to do something, they don't know how to do it. They don't think Excel can do it because most people think, oh, it's just Excel or it's too overwhelming. Well, Excel can do so many things. People have no clue how
yeah,
versatile Excel is. And that's what I
yes.
find is fun.
And it's
Like
intimidating for a lot of us.
it is.
I'm very intimidated by Excel, and it took me a while. In my other job, I had to use it, yeah, and I was just like, just those boxes, and then
Yeah.
clicking stuff, and then the black boxes start getting highlighted, and then I start panicking.
I think it is very overwhelming
It
to a
is.
lot of people because they just see these cells
Yep.
and what I find interesting is I'll look at something and people will make a table in Word and I'm like, that's great. You just used Excel, but you can't use any of it.
Mm.
It doesn't do anything for you. You can't sort it. You can't put a total
Oh,
row on it. You can't filter it. You can't do all these things
I
and
see.
let Excel do the work for you. So it's like right now I'm creating a timetable for people to, for a client who wants to put in, is it personal or work? What's the activity? And then how long does it take them daily or weekly? And what we're doing is really building a calendar for a week.
Okay.
And so I have it automatically calculating how many hours per day or week is it? Because, if it's daily, it needs to be calculated by times by how many days they're going to do it. So I have a
Mm,
number of days. And then if it's hour weekly, it's just how many hours did they put in or how many each time. But then we want to calculate down to 168 hours because that's how many hours we have in a week, right?
okay.
Well, what this is going to do at the end, they're going to go hit a button that says refresh, and it's going to create their schedule for the week, showing them how many extra hours they have in a day. And it includes like sleep and stuff too, because
Hmm.
people
Really?
underestimate how long things take or they
Yeah.
overestimate. And all of a sudden, they put in 200 hours, but there's only 168 hours in the week. So
Mm.
something's got to give here, right?
Yes.
So it's fun to do that, and it color codes, and it's just neat making all that kind of stuff for
Hmm.
people.
So then you personalize all of that for each like client then.
Yeah, everything I do is customized. Even my cookie cutter couple things that I do
Yeah.
is all customized.
Wow.
It's just fun for me to do that. And I don't think anybody is a cookie. So,
Yeah.
and nobody is exactly the same. Like every
Right.
Oreo comes out pretty much the same.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, no, we're all different. We all have different needs.
Yes.
Let's and that's what's fun about Excel is that it's so easily customized.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's the fun part for me.
You just inspired me to start dabbling with the Excel.
Yay. And I'll give you a really neat tip. If you have a question, instead of Googling it,
Yeah.
do you use Chat GPT?
Yes.
Do you have a paid version?
I do not.
Okay. And I don't know if it has a paid version, if it's in the non-paid or not, but
Mhm.
there's a couple different levels of Chat GPT, and
Okay.
one is for programming. So if you go to that one
Mhm.
and ask it to do something in Excel, it'll show you how to do it.
Oh my goodness. I
It's
think
not
that,
always exactly right, but it'll get you really close and you can tell it to tweak and do these things. But if you want to do something and you don't know how to lay it out,
yeah.
kind of ask it. And that's I think that's my superpower is I know about how to lay out things
Yeah.
to make it work. Whereas, I see people with spreadsheets and they'll tell me, "Oh my God, I'm using a table." And I'll look at it and I'm like, "That's not a table. Sorry. It's just data."
Yeah.
But if you make it, it's really 2 clicks to make it a table, and then it becomes super powerful for you.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I just would have never even imagined.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you think about starting a business or going into a business or for yourself, that's like one of the things that, some people don't even think about is organizing their stuff on something
Oh,
like
not at
this.
all. Because, we get into business to do what we love.
Yes.
Fortunately, my background is in doing all that back office work, right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I create for people is back
Yes.
office work stuff. But I can also create other things that are going to bring in money for people. So it's
Yes.
not just how can you save money? How can I make
Yeah.
things easier for you? I can create things that bring in money for people, depending on what they do. So like
Yes.
coaches and consultants that use different things. One of the things I always laugh at is somebody will send out, I wanted to make a banner for my thing, and I had this coach that would create the banner for me. And oh my God, I loved the banner.
Hmm.
It was when I first started, so I don't use it anymore. I'm like, I don't even look like that anymore. But she gave me this little survey, and I had to go add everything up. I'm like, if you would have done this in Excel, it would have added it for me.
Mm.
I wouldn't make a mistake because now what if I make a mistake in addition? Now my
Yes.
results are wrong. So it wouldn't have came out right. But luckily I just put it in Excel and did it. But it's just like things like that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this could be so much easier if you would have had this in Excel or in Google instead of doing it this way. it would have added it up for people.
Mhm.
And that's, yeah.
I think that's amazing. I think this is great. And when we post your this video, we're going to post your links and everything as well, if people want to reach out to you. But I think it's phenomenal how, like you said, like a lot of us have an idea of what we want to do. And as I think,
Mhm.
especially in this age, like, as you get older, I used to be more tech savvy, but things
Mhm.
are just accelerating so fast. It's taken me a while. I love ChatGPT, the AI stuff, so I feel like it's a phenomenal tool
It is.
to start working with. I think it's super exciting. But I love how you said people that have a passion that want to start a business and do something, but you're like the back end office of it. Like giving that this is a great you have a great product or a great company that gives them that, let that the clerical stuff. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like that
The
the
back office, it's kind of like a
yeah,
lot of the accounting things.
yes,
I don't
yes,
do it for them. I empower them to do it. So
yes,
I customize it to what they need, teach them how to use it. They
yes.
can, and what's really cool is I'll do little videos
Uh,
of each one. I used to do instructions that I would lay out, and it would take me longer to do that than it did the whole spreadsheet to make it because it was so detail oriented. But what I found is people like a lot of people like the just the little video.
okay.
And so I can break up the little video to each little segment and
Mhm.
say, here's this part, if you're stuck, you can watch that. Or,
Yeah,
text me if you're stuck, I'll help.
yeah,
It's not a big deal. And most things, if it takes me less than 15 minutes, I don't charge my clients for that. It's
yeah.
like, you know, it's part of the service that I provide.
Hmm.
Um, and it gives them the peace of mind
Yeah.
that they have somebody that can help them,
Hmm.
but yet it empowers them to do their own business because
Yes.
a majority of us don't want to pay people all the time
Right, right.
because we're like, I'm getting to that point where I'm going to be starting to pay somebody, so I'm excited about that because it's like, ooh, I can actually do this now,
Yeah.
and feel like a real business person. They'll still be probably a 1099 person, but it's helping me to grow my business,
Mm,
but at the same time helping out more and more people because I don't get my name out there very much. I
mm.
don't post a whole lot. That's where I'm going with hiring somebody to help me because
Yes.
that I don't like that stuff. I'm like, that's not
Yes.
my forte. I want to do numbers. I want to create other things. I don't want to create posts. I'm a number girl, not a word girl. It's like, mm.
I love how everything works together, like
It does.
it does, doesn't it? Like once and it goes back again to the limiting belief, the self-love, is once you had the idea, I have a great idea. I feel like, it has value. I, deserve to provide this for you. And then you got this great product, and then, you have your special, superpower, like, your
Mhm.
accounting. And then someone else does the posting and someone else does something else. It's just, I just love how everything just all comes together.
It does,
Uh,
and it takes a while to, part of the limiting beliefs I had were about the abundance portion and to
yes.
be able to receive. I can give all day long. That's no big deal. That's easy. But for me to receive, because,
Yes.
it's all we were taught as kids, it's better to give than receive, right?
Yes.
So it's like, oh, how do I become more open to receiving? So here's a
Yes.
really neat example. Um, Last week have you ever read the book Rich as Fuck?
No.
Yeah, it's an awesome book. So I'm reading it and I don't remember who the actual person is, but she's
Yes.
a coach, a multi-million-dollar coach, and
Okay.
she talks about opening up to receiving more. And she's like, part of it is I receive unexpected gifts in the mail all the time. And this and that. Okay.
Yes.
So 2 weeks ago is when I was reading the book originally, and I went to two different events and I won four different prizes. Actually, I bid on one, so I paid for it, but I still won the prize, right? And
Hmm.
I went to another event last Thursday and I'm like, oh, I'm going to win something today. I just feel it. And I didn't. And I was like, oh, that's okay. Something else will come along. Well, I got home and I got this letter in the mail. It just came a little card, and it
Hmm.
was from one of my clients, and it said, "Happy birthday."
Yeah.
And inside of it were three $50 gift cards. And it had this amazing note about how much she appreciates me and values my time. I'm helping to take something overwhelming to her feel possible and even empowering. And that's exactly what I love to do. And it was just, she wrote more than that in there, but it was just like, oh my God, it's being open to receiving, being
Tina,
open
you
to
just hit on such, I actually have goosebumps because that is one of my limiting beliefs. Growing up in a very, like, we were, my parents were from Eastern Europe. At one point, we were homeless. We lived in the Salvation Army when I was 5. So I had all those,
Yeah.
like, I did not, I deserved like the bare minimum. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just getting I had the just getting by mentality, and I still do in a way. I feel like a lot of the blocks I have are that limiting belief of the abundance.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
how did you, because that's the one thing that I'm really, really working on because and I'm gonna write down the book. I'm gonna totally after we get off, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
check out the book. But how did you transition from, okay, how that transition, I know you said you're still working, I know we still evolve.
Mm-hmm.
There had to be this transition from the lack of certain things, okay, the lack mindset, you know, learning to love yourself
Mm-hmm.
into once you got into the momentum of the receiving mode.
Right. I think part of it is some of the work that she has you do. I've got a whole notebook that I still haven't really written about it because she has questions at the end of each chapter, and
At the
that's what
book
I'm going.
of the book?
Yeah, and so I'm going
Okay.
back and going back through it and doing.
Yes.
I want to do those, but it's just for me. It was thinking about I am open to receiving unexpected gifts.
Oh,
And just really just saying that I'm
yeah.
open to receive and believing it,
Yes.
and because I've had that lack mentality,
Yes.
I've had the scarcity, I've had the
Scarcity.
debt,
Yes.
I've been in debt for God, I don't know how many years. I finally took money out of my 401 and said,
Same.
you know what, I'm done.
Yes.
I'm paying this crap off. I'm
Yes.
done. But I've got myself back in a little bit. I'm not where I was by any
Yes.
means.
Right.
And I definitely don't want to get there, but I'm now starting to say, okay, my company makes enough money for me to pay all my bills and put some in the bank
Yes. Yes.
every month.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
And so starting to go there and not saying I want to pay off the debt because that's still talking about
Up the
debt.
debt. Yes.
So it's like I want to put money in the bank every month. My company makes enough money to pay all my bills
Mhm.
plus put money away.
Yes.
And just these little tweaks that we tell ourselves. It doesn't have to be a lot. It's kind of amazing how
So
it's
this
been
is a very
working.
good point because I love the affirming that you do. You affirm with your words, and people, I have on my all the books on my walls over here are like, I'm very much into spirituality, so I
Hmm.
bring also the spirituality. Have you heard of Elaine Starling? She's an abundance.
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna send you. She has an abundance, podcast, YouTube, and all that.
Okay.
So I'll send you. And I think I gave you my number in the email. You certainly
Yeah.
text me and I'll send you the links to all of her stuff. She's somebody that I would love to get on this. That's a whole nother thing, but I'm going to send you her stuff too. She's amazing and she's an abundance coach and she
Hmm.
talks and her podcast is all about the receiving mode of abundance. The worthiness of receiving all of that, getting out of
Hmm.
the lack and scarcity mindset. So she's just amazing. So it's interesting how we're talking about that.
Yeah,
But
and I definitely think, even when I've worked with a couple different money coaches in the past, and
yeah.
I just never grasped
Yeah.
the difference. I've always said I want to pay off my debt. I want to
Yes.
pay off my debt. I want to pay off my debt, which
Yes.
just kept me in debt because I was talking about the debt
Mm-hmm.
instead of saying I am grateful to pay off all my bills and put more money in the bank.
Yes.
You know, it may not be there yet, but I'm in the process
Yes.
of. And so every month it gets better. I pay down a little bit more each time. And
Yes.
so it's that I think is the biggest switch that I'm making is just that and it's just a couple words,
It is a
you
couple
know.
of words. And into the belief of it. Because like
Yeah.
even believing and it's so funny because some I like like I said I bring the spirituality aspect of like this part of the podcast as well, but I have these sleep meditations. I listen to this guy named Brian Scott and he does all these money sleep meditations, so I go to sleep with them because I'm like, darn it, I because of how I grew up and
Yeah.
my limiting beliefs are written kind of like in stone and in tattoos. I'm
Oh, they are. Because I kind of do very similar. Do you use, I use Insight Timer,
no, I
which
never
is a
heard of
meditation app, and they
okay.
have a whole ton of stuff out there for free. But this year for my birthday, I said, you know what? I'm investing in me, and I bought
Yes.
because they also have courses and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
for 69 bucks, I'm worth 69
Yes,
bucks.
you are. Yes.
So it's a whole year that you get that. So I'm gonna redo it next year
Yeah.
because I just started meditating a couple of years ago
Yes.
and I'm on a streak. I think I have 700 and almost 60 days, not consecutive. I've missed one day
Good
in
for
all
you.
of that time. So I'm back up to 120 some days consecutive.
That's
And
amazing. Good for you. And that's exactly, this is my meditation room too. My office, the meditation room.
oh, okay.
But I
Yeah.
do too. I have my meditation chair and I started meditating a few years ago and it really, I don't think that people understand. And I became certified in teaching it. So that's
Oh,
something that
cool.
I want to do to help people too, is teach them to learn to meditate. When people tell me, there's no way I can't concentrate. I go, it's not even about that. I go,
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. But
Yeah.
and the meditation does help with the affirming and clearing, clearing the mind and stop the overthinking and
Yeah.
getting some new, downloading some new stuff and downloading the good stuff that into the subconscious. So it's like
Right.
getting into the subconscious, that positive mindset and the abundance mindset, getting rid of the scarcity mindset. So yeah, it's a phenomenal tool as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, and there's so many different types of meditations out on this app that I use. I
Yes.
mean, so right now I'm doing a just learning to love myself because I know
Yes.
that's where it all starts. Like,
Yes.
I want to
All of
have a
it.
partner again and until I love me, that ain't gonna happen. So, and I want certain things in my life and it's like I need to change to bring that in, to bring that
Yes.
energy in because
Yes. Yes.
the last couple guys I dated, let me tell you, they weren't that bad, but
Yeah.
they weren't my ideal guy either.
Yeah.
So,
Have you written down what you wanted? Because one of the things I've heard is write a letter to your future husband.
oh,
Just
I've not done that.
yes.
I've
So
written down a couple times a lot of the characteristics. I'm like, the guy's got to be a golfer. I'm sorry. My
okay.
mom's 99 years old and still golfing.
Oh my
So,
God, good for her.
no kidding. Hey, it's so amazing. And
Mhm.
so it's like, my family grew up with golf. I want
Yeah.
somebody that's going to go golf. I want to travel and
And then you
golf.
visualize that.
Yeah, exactly. I want, and that's what I love about the work I do. I can do it from anywhere as long as I can hook up to Wi-Fi. I'm good.
That's amazing.
So that's the fun part. So I love that you're a travel agent because I'm like, oh, I could do that, still do some of my other work on the side
Yeah.
and get to travel, more for free than
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so do
Yeah.
I move
Well,
down by
yeah.
my sister? And
Oh, totally. It is. And then I love, and I love meeting new people. And that's one of the things too. And I've actually, it is so funny, Tina, because like there's so many synchronicities in the world we don't really realize. Like talking to you, you have just filled me so much with inspiration. First of all, with like the self-love and the abundance and Excel, because now I'm not so afraid of it. I'm
yeah,
actually super excited to start,
there's an
experimenting.
undo button, honey, that,
Yeah,
just undo. It's all good. Just undo. And
just
I
undo.
still do that. It's kind of
Yeah,
fun because even when I make a video,
yeah.
I don't get rid of my mistakes because I want to teach people it's okay to make a mistake.
Yes,
Just
yes,
undo it. It's not a
yes.
big deal.
Yeah.
So, and to me, it's like when I watch the ones and I'm like, oh, yeah, they just cut that. They must have did something wrong. It's like, no, teach people that it's okay.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. You undo it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. I was flying the other day and I had this passenger. I was flying in the front position and he was in the first row and he had this book. And I always find these synchronicities when I fly too. And he had this book and it's Don't Believe Everything You Think.
Yeah, exactly.
It was so, I read that book within 24 hours. And it
Well,
was just so good. And he said this, he goes, once you start getting into this mindset, he's an entrepreneur and all this stuff. So once
hmm
you get to this mindset, he goes, you start meeting people who have the same type of, have the same like link that you do, the same energy that are trying to
exactly.
achieve the same things. So it was very interesting, like, meeting him, then talking to you. So
Yeah, and I'm working with a coach right now, and so when you talk about our limiting beliefs, is it mine? Is it true? Is it real?
hmm
Because the things we think, most of them aren't ours, because all of our abundance mindset pretty much came from before we were 7. We weren't
yes,
even making money back then. So how do we get all this crap that we don't deserve, you know?
that's right.
Um, so obviously they're not ours.
Correct.
Is it true that there's limited funds? Hell no. There's unlimited
So
amounts of money
much, so
there.
much money out there.
Is it
Yeah.
real? No, most of what we think isn't real,
Yeah.
and it's just kind of funny. So it's like putting that into perspective. I'm
Yes.
also reading another book right now, and it's on self-love, and I don't remember the name of it, but
Oh,
she talks about, and it's really on body image and different things.
yes.
But she talks about when we were born, we unconditionally loved ourselves.
Yes, we
We
did.
are taught not to love ourselves.
Yes. It's
And
true.
so getting back to that original thing,
hmm
I can't remember, I don't remember who she is, and I don't have my iPod in here, so I couldn't tell you, but it's just an interesting book, and she calls it body terrorism, because
Okay.
people,
And she calls it body care. Maybe if I just Google that or just send me like, and
yeah,
then,
I can send you the what
okay.
it is. It's I don't remember the name of it. But it's been
I love it.
interesting to read
Yes.
about. I mean, a little she gets into a little bit of politics in here and there, but
Yeah.
not a whole lot. But talking about how many laws there are against, well, one, women couldn't even vote until the 60s,
Yes.
40s, black women till the 60s. Women couldn't hold a credit card in their own name until 1974,
Yes.
nor could you get a loan without
Okay.
somebody else's co-signing. It's like, so we wonder why us women don't have the money knowledge.
Yeah.
Well, my mom couldn't teach me because, she didn't know.
Right. Right.
They don't teach it in school.
No.
They don't teach half the stuff you really need. There should be a life course, just a course on life. Um,
Mm.
these are things you need to know,
hmm
I don't know. It's my
I
thought,
agree
but
with you. I always wondered, I was talking to the gentleman who was reading that book on the plane, and we both said, he goes, you know how much you can empower someone if you just even taught them how to meditate in school?
yeah,
Just something simple as that.
you
Or,
know,
giving them their power back by showing, like you said, we grew up to teach, we're taught not to love ourselves. If we just, started with the affirming and the limiting beliefs early on,
yeah.
it
So
would
one of
do,
the things that this lady had you do in the book was think about something that you've been told and how can you switch it up and make it positive. So
yeah.
my new belief is that I am uniquely imperfect, or I'm perfectly imperfect.
hmm
And it's like, because we're all imperfect, we
Yes.
all have whatever, but I'm perfectly the way I am for this time in particular.
Yes.
And wherever I'm at in life, I'm always going to be perfect. I may be imperfect, but I'm perfectly imperfect. So
Yes.
it's making a positive spin on that,
Yep.
because you know, I can't. everybody tells me, "Oh, you're blonde, you're blue-eyed." I remember, I don't know, I was probably 7, 8 years old. One of the girls in school, we had a sleepover at a girlfriend's house, and I was getting braces, and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna be the hottest girl in school because you're blonde, you're blue-eyed, you're,
Mm.
straight teeth, whatever." And I felt like the most non-fit in person in my class.
Oh,
Like I I never felt like I fit in. I was always a little bit bigger, and I look back now and go, "Oh my God, I always thought I was fat. I was not fat." I was beautiful,
mm.
but I didn't see it
Yes.
at all because, oh my God, my one eye isn't normal. I'm legally blind in an eye. It used to
Mm,
have a drop pupil, and so I always thought people were looking at my eye.
mm,
I don't know. There was just these different things, and I just never loved myself because, oh my God, I was too big. I was too whatever. I was
mhm.
very quiet and shy back in them days, and bartending brought that out. I remember oh my God, this is a funny story. So I was bartending, and back in the 80s, you remember when they had the suspender pants?
Yes.
So I wore these bartending one time. I'm like 18 years old. And this little old guy comes up to me and goes, "How come my suspenders don't have curves like yours?" Never wore those frickin' pants again. I was so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my God, because I was pretty big chested for a young girl.
Yeah.
And I was a lot skinnier, but it was just like, oh my God, I can't wear these again.
Yeah.
It's showing too much. And
Yeah.
I never wore anything with a V-neck because it would show my scar, and I didn't want anybody to see my scar from my open heart surgery.
Yeah.
And it was just things like that. It was like now I'm like, oh my God, I've got so many scars from my open heart surgery. It's like I've got a
Yeah.
scar here, here, both legs. I actually found one that I didn't even know I had over on my
Oh
side,
my
and I was like,
goodness.
I didn't know I had that one too, and it's just like, oh well,
Right.
it's part of me,
That's right.
and just learn to love them, and because it makes me unique,
Yes. Yes. That's great.
part
That's
of my
great
story.
advice. Definitely. We definitely need to learn to love ourselves. And people also need to understand there's a huge difference between self-love and selfish. Okay. Like I
Yeah,
get there's a lot of, when you say you need to love yourself first, you need to love yourself. People need to understand this is not narcissism. Narcissism is like, you know, manipulative and
yeah, exactly.
getting,
Yeah,
but loving yourself, I mean, you have to live with you the rest of your life.
yeah. It allows you to give more grace to other people, I think.
Yeah,
For me, like I bartend on Fridays, and there's typically a lady that I struggle with, and I'm just like, I know she's very unhappy in her life, so I just send her love every time I see her. I'm like,
mm,
sending her love, and
yeah,
just let her be her, and I don't
love it.
let her trigger me anymore because it used to be she would just get under my skin, and I would just get pissed off, and I'm just like, you know what? No, she's struggling. She
Yes,
needs love.
yes,
And until I could recognize that, I couldn't give it,
yeah.
and just, I don't ever say anything to her. I just mentally say, send Kathy some love and walk away. Oops, I wasn't going to say her name, but nobody
Kathy's
knows.
wondering where's all this love coming from?
Yeah, yeah. But she's just, she's in her 60s. She's just not happy in her marriage. She's just angry. She's an
Yeah,
angry person, and it comes out. People notice, and
yes,
so it's like, oh, I don't want to be that.
no, yeah,
I want to send love to people, and I just try to make things light and have fun
yes,
and whatever.
yes.
Yeah,
Definitely, we need more of that in the world. So,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Why, doesn't help to cry over I guess I've lived long enough to walk away from a marriage that I was not happy in. And
yeah,
until I did that, I couldn't see that I was not happy. It
yes,
was like, oh, yeah, look at that. So now I can see it. My
Hmm.
ex-husband has a wonderful girlfriend. I love her to death. And I'm
Oh,
like, you never smiled at me like you smile at her. And it's kind of fun. We're not great friends, but we're all friends.
yeah,
Be at a thing together and, I give him a hug and I'll give her a hug. It doesn't, whatever, and she's not jealous of me, and there's no reason she should be.
yeah,
I love him more like a brother.
yeah.
And that's kind of fun because I struggle with both of my husbands that I had. Their ex-wives cheated on them.
Mm.
And both of the ex-wives were so bitter at the ex-husbands because they left them.
Mm.
But they stayed with the guy they cheated on, both of them. But why were they still so bitter? They got what they wanted, didn't they? They wanted to be with or didn't they want to be with somebody else?
Yeah,
I don't know, but there was so much anger out of both of them towards their ex-spouses. And it was like, you both loved each other at some point. You had
yes,
kids together.
yeah,
Why do you hold all the anger and stuff? Why can't you? To me, it's like we didn't fight when we split. It was like
yeah,
I just about gave him everything because I just wanted out. I didn't really care at that point. If I did it over, I probably would do some things differently. But
yeah,
at the time, for me, it was just like, no, I'm just done. I don't want to fight. I don't, you know, I want to stay friends because at some point I loved you enough to marry you. So,
yes, yeah,
why have all that anger?
yeah. I love that.
And
So, I'm trying to see where, if people want to get a hold of you, so where would they, let's see here. We have a couple of your websites. So what is your, you have a LinkedIn as well,
I
right?
do.
Okay.
Yep. LinkedIn is good. My website is Excelling Your Business. So you can put either both L's or one L, either way, and it'll direct you to me.
Okay.
But it's Excelling Your Business. I was like, yeah, okay, I've spelled it wrong. So because of Excel. So let's buy both domains and just reroute the other one. So if people do spell it wrong, they
Right.
still get it to me.
Very
And
smart.
yeah, I thought that was a little brilliant. And
Yes.
I also have I'm going to be creating something with from shoebox to toolbox. I'm going to
Okay.
drop the from the website, but yeah, that's all about helping people run their business and know their numbers and make it easy for them. So that's
Yeah.
my
Well,
fun part.
thank God there's someone like you out there because I'm telling you, I mean, that is something that I give you a lot of credit. And that you love it and that you're passionate about it and it gets you excited. That's great. I mean,
Yeah, what really excites me is when people get it and they're doing it and they're like, "Oh my God, this is making my life so much easier." So yesterday I did a video with a lady out of Canada that had bought the program, and she was talking about, she goes, "I'm seeing my numbers
yeah,
every week. I do this weekly." She
yeah,
goes, "I see my numbers. My business is growing. I can see my income coming in.
yeah,
I'm seeing it." She goes, "I see the expenses. I'm making better choices on what
yeah,
I'm purchasing and not purchasing because I now know what I'm at." She
yes,
goes, "It's so empowering. I love this." And
yeah.
she goes, "And you customized it to you work with Canadian, money because she's a
Oh,
Canadian coach, but she works with US people. So
okay.
she has banks in both the States and Canada. So that's two different currencies. So
Right.
I've customized it so she can work with that. And she has which ones are GST and which ones are American. And
Hmm.
yeah, so it's been kind of fun to do that and have it work for her. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's great. Tina, thank you so much. I mean, it was a pleasure having you here. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. I'd love to, we touched on so many subjects
I know. And I want
yeah.
to learn more about the travel agent industry because that's something I have have truly thought about. And my
If that's
sister is.
something that you have thought of in the back of your mind, then that's something that you should probably really look into. I
Yeah,
thought,
I know. It's just like I
that's
live
a
so
little
far away
voice
from
and
Southwest, though. It's like, how do you do
all
that?
right,
So where are you located?
let me just stop
Stop the
recording
recording.
real quick. Okay, I'm new at this, so please be,
It's okay.
oh
You
my
got it.
gosh. Okay, where is the recording?
It might be right on the top. I don't know. It's either on the
Yeah,
top or the bottom.
it gave me.
Hover over the bottom, you might see it.
Okay, I know it stopped.